So what do you think in terms of the nofollow? So Google made a thing where they're changing the nofollow to be a hint for both ranking, crawling, and indexing. Do you think those types of links will matter in the future? Do you believe they always matter, nofollow links, and Google just made those things up? I'm just curious.
When you look at the data, you'll find conflicting information with regards to how much impact nofollows might have. Certainly it doesn't seem like they have any negative impact. I think there was even a story you wrote recently about how even what we might have called toxic links or low quality links hypothetically don't have a negative impact, and I believe that to be true. I think that Google went down the rabbit hole of Disavow and realized like they can't, because of negative SEO and everything, they have to figure it out. They have to figure out how to either ignore stuff that's low quality so that you can't use negative SEO as an offensive weapon. But as far as nofollows, I basically consider it like a gift if you get a follow. If you get a nofollow, that's a smaller gift because it's still great. The consumer can follow a link, find your site. And if you just get a citation, that's still a gift because now the consumer knows about you. So obviously you stack rank what you want. Okay, I'd love to get a follow organically that I did not influence. I didn't buy it, right? It just happened to be there. If I didn't manage to get a follow, I'll still take a nofollow. What the ratio of nofollow impact to follow impact is, maybe even if it was 1/10, 1/50th, 100th, it probably counts somewhat. I don't think it has a huge impact. I do think it probably has some hint impact. Some other folks have said that even 302 redirects, advertising redirects, may have some influence on SEO, but I think that's more likely a correlation than it is causation. But it's all good. It's like SEO is part of a broader set of objectives, right? Obviously it's easy to get myopically focused on SEO, but it's really visibility is the broader objective. I want to be visible for the things that I do, the problems that I solve, right? SEO is just one of the success KPIs of that. So when you can get it along the way, it's great.
So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to somebody who's been in the industry for so long. You don't get bogged down on these little details like, oh, doesn't nofollow actually pass links or not, or does it matter? Because the bigger picture is you got the link, who cares if it's nofollow or not? That link might lead to somebody else noticing your site, might lead to other things, and it's just a bigger picture overall.
Yeah, I mean, even back in Matt Cutts days and before Matt Cutts was around, right, he always focused on if you do what's best for the user, the consumer, the reader, whatever you want to call them first, that the SEO comes along for the ride, right? And regardless of all the algo changes and rank brain and the more recent updates that have had everybody freaked out, depending on which side of the update they were on, in the end, if you just continue to plod along and do what's right for the consumer, right, and not try to achieve rank you don't deserve, then you're probably going to continue to get SEO rank momentum across a corpus of keywords. Put the consumer first. Make content part of your strategy. Again, digital PR is great because it allows us as SEOs to tap into secondary budgets, right? If you're too myopically focused on pure SEO and you're myopically focused on just the domain you're trying to get to rank, that's just an SEO budget, right? When you start to pull out of a corporate communications budget, that's another budget entirely. It has SEO benefit, right? And so why should those two things be in different silos?
And that's a tip in terms of right now, people are looking to get as much budget as they can from companies because of this economy. You've been through multiple recessions with DidIt.
Yeah.
And I guess you've planned your company to kind of weather those things because you've been through at least 2 downturns.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on whether you count the .com bust as one of them, right? That was one of them. Then we obviously had the macroeconomic meltdowns in 2008 and this one. So certainly 3, you could easily count 3 because we had some pure play clients back when pets.com went belly up, and that was sort of the harbinger of the whole .com implosion.
Yeah, the good old days.
Yeah.
Razorfish is still around. They were around back then. So.
Yeah, they've just gone through some couple of mergers and rebrandings and things
exactly.
like that.
And branded content, nofollow 302. That's kind of similar to what you were talking about. That was another topic you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is, again, if you're thinking about visibility up and down the funnel, right? You want to make sure that your brand is there, your service offering is there. Up and down the funnel, branded content can end up being really important. As to whether or not Google differentiates if you're doing branded content, I think if you're doing branded content, you're doing no follows instead of 302s. I don't see a problem with that. I don't see that as necessarily being against Google's guidelines. I mean, although if it did in fact convey SEO juice, you would say, okay, I guess I shouldn't even do those. But the reality is there are certain situations where, you would want the direct link and you would not want it to go through a 302. And so I think branded content. I haven't really formed a strong opinion as to whether branded content should be, a no follow or a 302. But certainly branded content's a great way to get visibility. It's going to be a big part of when Giving Forward launches shortly. Giving Forward is going to launch a bunch of sites that where content is donated, and ad revenue from that content is split. 50% of the ad revenue is split between the reader's choice and the author's choice, or the content creator's choice. So this is something that sort of stuck in my brain after I launched WeCare, and I sort of thought about it, and the folks making money in the digital ecosystem, the folks who get their content for free and their audience development for free. So I said, hey, what if we got content donated, and we'll let the donor pick a cause and we let the reader pick a cause. It'd be sort of like Medium, but powered for nonprofits. That's sort of what we're building right now and launching. So there'll be a branded content component to that, because obviously when we're looking to share ad revenue towards nonprofits, even though Giving Forward itself is a nonprofit, the other 50% or more is going to go to the nonprofits, the donors and readers pick. So we'll be doing some fun stuff with branded content as well.
Could we dig a little bit more into the no follow versus 302? So, I mean, at least Google has said 302, 301, no difference. They pass almost exactly the amount of link juice as you would have a direct link from those. They've said this numerous times.
No, 301s, yes, not 302s.
They said 302s are pretty much the same. There's been lots of SEOs who said, no, that's not true, Google, you're lying to me. Based on my data, that's not true.
Yeah, my data doesn't show that a 302 passes link juice.
At all?
No.
Interesting. Okay.
Maybe about as much as a no follow.
Interesting.
Right. So it seems to be correlated, but it's hard to get enough data to show causation. Because the thing is, if you have a big client that's doing a lot of advertising,
right,
and that 302 is there to count the, and maybe they're not talking about 302s that are used in banner ads, because obviously 302s are used in every single banner ad.
Right.
As a matter of fact, most banner ads have at least 2 or 3 hops, because you've got the publisher side ad server, an exchange redirect like AdX,
yeah,
and then the advertiser side ad server, all 302ing
right
on their way to the destination. So maybe they're talking about 302s in a different context, but certainly 302s in advertising, I don't believe pass any link juice. 302s in a link context, they may actually be, I believe they're more similar to a no follow. And that also makes sense if you think about the affiliate networks, right? I mean, part of the whole challenge that Google faced back in the before the cookie apocalypse, when CJ and Linkshare had links inbound, they went through 302s, and everyone was sort of debating, and then a couple of affiliate networks sprouted up that were direct link affiliate networks, and of course eBay and Amazon launched their own internal programs, partially because we believe that they believe they could get access to some of that SEO link.
Right.
As to whether or not a 302 passes the same as 301, 301 I absolutely agree. 301s and canonicals, there's some depreciation from what data we see, so that it's not, you don't get 100%, you lose a little bit of something along the way, but 302s have not seen evidence that it passes full link power.
It's funny because what you just mentioned really goes back to like 2000, 2001, 2002 with all the affiliate networks, and like everybody's like, oh, I'm an SEO, I'm going to build an affiliate network that does direct links, that adds cookies and stuff like that to track the
yeah, exactly, right. There was an entire
and then the no follow
period of time.
That
exactly.
cuts us like, no more, no more. We're not going to let that happen anymore. Yeah. It's interesting you say that. Just since you are pretty well known in both SEO and PPC, what's harder, SEO or PPC?
That's like what's harder, mixing drinks or cooking, right? I mean, they're both hard if you want to do them to be at the top of your game.
Right.
In both of them, I think, the big challenge for, like, we're able to demonstrate success in PPC within a month. Like, we can come in, take over an account, and bang, it's just doing 20, 30. We just recently had a client, we did more than twice as much revenue per dollar spend from the old account structure. It was just horrific.
Right.
But so you see the impact right away. And so to some extent that's easier because it's front loaded with work, right? The account structure is usually screwed up. There's usually horrible quality scores, right? And so that makes it easier because you can demonstrate value to the client very quickly. What makes SEO hard is that the client may not be able to tell the difference between a top-notch SEO and a mediocre one for the first 6 months.
Right.
Right? And they get impatient. And so, especially when you're fixing site-side technical SEO issues, some of the recommendations that need to be implemented could have a temporary negative effect, right? And that's the toughest to deal with, right? From the perspective of managing client expectations and letting them know, listen, you've got a bunch of technical SEO problems that need to be addressed, and there may be an adjustment period by the time Google recalls everything and understands what you fixed. So I would say SEO may be harder just as a result of the managing of client expectations.
Interesting. Awesome. Well, I got to keep this video somewhat short because of the YouTube retention problem. That being said, could you tell people how they could follow you, learn more about your companies, and what they could do to kind of reach out to you if you could help them out?
Sure, I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. You can always email me there. I think I'm have it set to allow for free emails. You can also connect with me using one of my email addresses, kevin@didit.com or kevin@givingforward.org. Both of those websites also work as far as reaching me. Yeah, just easy to find.
Awesome. Check them out. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, Barry. It's a pleasure.